Good morning. It's May 5th, 2022. Cinco de Mayo is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're playing Diablo 3. Was it Season 26? The DD Mega Doodoo set. The Ugh. I've never actually said this word out loud, and I've only ever made fun of it in my head. So it's the Mundanugu. Mundanugu. It's the Spirit Barrage set. I believe it's the latest, newest, baddest one. Our Spirit Barrage does 20 gajillion increased percentage damage, plus an additional... Don't worry about that last part, it's actually really bad. It also gives us 60% damage reduction, hovers above you and shoots nuclear bombs. Does an obscene amount of damage, and our kit just kind of lets us cruise on through, kind of open up about things. Well, part of my brain is being occupied by this game. For example, Diablo. Why is this game fun? And what are some concessions about this game that I made in order to experience that fun? You gotta grind. Part of the grind can be enjoyable. Part of it is really, really unenjoyable. And some people can get actively discouraged or burnout. So part of playing Diablo and getting a crazy competitive leaderboard character is managing, having fun, and doing work. I really enjoy soloing really high GRs, pulling trash and luring elites from zone to zone, and planning out when I'm going to do my damage, following a rotation. That is really enjoyable to me. Efficiently, and even to be able to get to the level of GR where stuff doesn't just die instantly, right? We're actually pulling packs. It's not just speedrunning like I'm doing now, which is a little bit more mindless. It's significantly more forgiving. But it is a balance. And basically, my point there is apply that same concession that sometimes I have to run bounties to get better gear so I can actually run GRs, which is peak fun. So there are tasks in my life that seem disproportionately more difficult to do than others, particularly writing. I really enjoy writing, and it's extremely difficult to just start writing. Kind of like the hierarchy of what it takes for me to be in a place where I want to write. Because that's not always the case. For me, there's an ego aspect. My writing is something that I've in the past been complimented on, which, feels like a weird thing to complain, or maybe not complain, but to bring up as a negative thing, or a cause of stress for me. It's like, oh, people complimented you? Wow, boo-hoo, I wish I got complimented for stuff. It's like, well, when you have a task that people come to expect you to be good at, then raises the bar for yourself of, oh, well, I want to get that praise again, or I want people to continue to think this thing about me, so now I can only produce quality content when I write it. Instead of it just being a compliment, it becomes a call to action. Oh, I got recognition for this thing. Now, I can never slip or I could never produce content worse than this. That is devastating to the creative process. Like, what a way to kill any joy you've ever had about a project or a hobby. Hierarchy of emotion. So I've been to some pretty low lows in terms of like emotional and physical hygiene, being so depressed and isolating so much that I go days, weeks without showering, or showering once in many days, weeks, and like feeling shame and embarrassment about not being clean and actively smelling bad, and then not doing anything about it. But like, that's the thing about depression, right? Is all of that is the attack on you. And one trap that I fall into is then blaming myself for feeling these things. Why am I willing to be bad at a game in order to get better at it? Why do I play StarCraft, right? If in my daily life I'm paralyzed by other people doing things better than me, or like there being expectations around how well I do at this thing. Like, I'm the concessions I make around StarCraft is like, oh well, when I lose, it's not like, oh man, I hope I don't lose. I have to be everyone, or at least a certain percentage of people, or I'm not having fun. That's a good way to stop enjoying the thing that you're doing. So I guess one frustrating thing is when I hear people say, well, why don't you just write? You know, like, there are therapeutic elements to journaling, and if you are as good of a writer as you say you are, like, there's money to be made there. Why don't you write? And it's because writing, for me, is pretty high up on the pyramid of my existence, right? So basic needs like safety, shelter, sustenance. For me, those are met. And I'm in a less depressive place where I can expand upon that, and I'm exercising, and I eat pretty well, and I cook most of my meals, and but those things are incremental, and they're steps on a pyramid, right? If I wasn't sleeping well and I was stressed and I was, experiencing suicidal ideation, then, how often am I cooking for myself if I'm not bathing? But when I am doing these foundational things for myself, then it unlocks the next tier. Like, if you don't have your 6-piece, you're not running GR 90s, much less like GR 125s, and all your keys suck. It's like, I don't know. It makes sense in video games. Like, if you don't have an ancient weapon, your damage is trash, right? If I'm not exercising and I'm not engaging in social activities and I'm not formulating opinions on current events, and if I'm not doing this next tier of sort of societal social interaction, I'm not in a headspace where I have the confidence or the motivation or the ambition to write from a place to do this thing that there's already ego around, or there's already asking myself to press this sensitive point. it's hard to press that point when lower needs are being. But what I'm recognizing now is that I need to be grateful for those lower tiers, those foundational tiers of my existence being met. And part of keeping them met is the gratitude. The cool thing about gratitude is it then helps shift your thinking towards maintaining those foundational elements, which is going to elevate the rest of your existence. And that needs to be the goal. Maybe that's too bold for me to say, and that's me applying or projecting my bias, but that's, I think, a pretty good place to stop. And thank you for listening.